Alright, we're back. Break 158. Another 4-box break. Another 4 boxes from the same case. So we've found a predictor, a foil sig, and a few retirements. And obviously the normal cards, but yeah. So plenty more to find. Our team list for this break, which everyone should know because they pick their teams, but we do have a few breaks on today. So Broncos, Richard Light; the Traders, Craig Hyde; Bulldogs, Chris Schumi; Sharks, PD Siliga, sorry if I mispronounced that; Titans, Darren Anthony; Manly, PD; Storm, William Goodger; Knights, Craig Hyde; Cowboys, William Goodger; Eels, Craig Hyde; Panthers, Darren Anthony; Rabbitohs, PD; Dragons, Richard Light; Roosters, PD; Warriors, Chris Schumi; and Tigers, Craig Hyde. Alright guys, good luck. We are ready to go. For anyone that's in break 155, I'm thinking probably 1 o'clock. Rising Stars, Bellamy Vile for the Warriors. Rita Tola, parallel for the Rabbits. Brodie Jones, Club Hero for Knights. Jack Hetherington, parallel for Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for Broncos. Raiders parallel checklist. Season to remember, Thomas Burgess for the Rabbitohs. Dragons parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Reece Robson parallel for Cowboys. High Performance, David Fafita for the Titans. Callum Ponga, parallel for Knights. Our Heroes, Alexander Brimson for Titans. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for Storm. Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Matthew Tomoko for Raiders. Corey Thompson, parallel for Titans. Season to remember, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Star, Guru Greig for the Eels. Luke Thompson, parallel for Bulldogs. High Performance, Micah Sivo for the Eels. Josh Papali, parallel for Raiders. High Performance, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Tyson Gamble, parallel for Broncos. Oh, Mr. William Goodger. Jerome Hughes, creator for Melbourne Storm. Number 25. Nice hit. Congratulations. Warriors parallel checklist. Team High Performance for the Raiders. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Brian To'o, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for Cowboys. Stefano Uchikamanu, parallel for Tigers. Mitchell Moses, parallel for Eels. Skylar's fallen over. Season to remember, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Thomas Flegler, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. Sorry, I can hear my daughter out the back. She's coming guts on a bike. Sione Katoa, parallel for Sharks. Felt a bit bad not going out to it, but technically I'm not here, I'm working. Rising Stars, Bailey beyond the Otto for Bulldogs. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. You right? You'll be right. Luciano Leilua, parallel for Tigers. High Performance, William Kennedy and Connor Tracy for the Sharks. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Master Apprentice, Matt Dory for the Bulldogs. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Cowboys parallel checklist. Season to remember, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. Angus Crichton, parallel for Roosters. sandwich, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Master Apprentice, Corey Oates for the Broncos. Kevin Proctor, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbitohs. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbitohs. 5 packets left for box number 1. Season to remember, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Chanel Harris-Tavita, parallel for the Warriors. What's up, bub? Pardon? I can't hear. You think he's still sore? Huh? Alright. It's a little bit sore. We'll maybe get the Archie ice on there for a little bit longer. Season to remember, Jaden Ockenbaugh for the Bulldogs. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Bulldogs. Master and Apprentice Black, Hamali Olaka'atu, Manly. Jordan Rabiner, parallel for Raiders. Excuse me. And Joe's Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. So I've got the photos taken for 156. Harry Grant, Power Heroes for Storm. Toby Rudolph, parallel for Sharks. And that's box number 1, done and dusted. So box number 2, we hit the creator, the Melbourne Storm creator, Jerome Hughes. In the first box. Nice hit to start to break off with. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Jason Saab for Manly. Luke Brooks, parallel for Tigers. Club Heroes, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. Eels, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Taylor May for Panthers. Tarek Sims, parallel for Dragons. Season to remember, Jaden Campbell for Titans. Tom Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Mitchell Barnett, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Edward Cossey for the Warriors. Jared Wallace, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for Storm. High Performance, Alex 12 for Tigers. Tamale Olaka'atu, parallel for Manly. Power Heroes, Daniel Saifiti for the Knights. Alexander Brimson, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Davy Mole for the Rabbitohs. Keon Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Season to remember, Josh Curran for the Warriors. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Jack Hetherington, season to remember for the Bulldogs. Chance Nico Klokstad, parallel for Raiders. Rising Stars, Jake Simpkin for the Tigers. Dalmatine Zalesniak, parallel for the Warriors. High Performance, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the Warriors. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. Valentine Holmes, Power Heroes for Cowboys. Apposite Coruscant, parallel for Panthers. Valentine Holmes, parallel for Cowboys. Jake Turpin, parallel for Broncos. Toby Sexton, Rising Stars for Titans. Siosifa Talakai, parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Teague Wilton for the Sharks. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. Season to remember, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Tigers parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Dean Arimia for Storm. Micah Sivo, parallel for Eels. High Performance, Thomas Burgess for the Rabbitohs. Andrew McCulloch, parallel for Dragons. Nice authentic.
I forgot to put my...
Number 15. Mr. William Goodger again. Couple of big hits in the same break. Nice work, mate. Reese Robson. Number 15. Cohen Hess. Parallel for the Cowboys. High performance, David Clemmer for the Knights. Corey Waddell, parallel for the Bulldogs. William Goodger didn't even get to pick Cowboys. That was the last team available.
Yeah, I didn't bother asking for his picks.
No. Master and Apprentice for Panthers. Isaiah Yo. Emery Gawler, parallel for Raiders. Another two, baby. Rising Stars, TC Rabadi for Broncos. Toby Harris, parallel for Warriors. Where are we? 8 packets left for our second box. In break 158. There you go. Season to remember, Brian To'o for Panthers. Daniel Tupou, parallel for Roosters. Tupou, I can never remember what that one is. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Aaron Shoup for the Bulldogs. Tony Staggs, parallel for Broncos. Master Apprentice, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Helam Lukey, Rising Stars for Cowboys. David Nofaluma, parallel for Tigers. Team High Performance for the Cowboys. Jacob Taifiti, parallel for Knights. Season to remember, Murray Talagi for Cowboys. Junior Paulo, parallel for Eels. Alright, last packet. For box number 2, Master Apprentice Black for the Broncos, Corey Oates. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. These ones. Alright. Alright, so box number 3. Rising Stars, Jiro Mimoisi for the Knights. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Club Heroes, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. Xavier Savage, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Daniel Saifiti for the Knights. Jared Wallace, parallel for Titans. Cody Walker, parallel for Rabbits. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. Jack Hetherington, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Jake Avarillo for the Bulldogs. Raiders parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Zach Sini for the Tigers. Chanel Harris-Tavita, parallel for the Warriors. Angus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Corey Waddell, parallel for Bulldogs. High Performance, Andrew McCulloch for the Dragons. Henry Gula, parallel for the Raiders. Power Heroes, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Daniel Tupu, parallel for Roosters. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Daly Cherry Evans for Manly. Katoni Staggs, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. William Kennedy, parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Harry Grant, parallel for Storm. Corey Thompson, parallel for Titans. High Performance, Isaiah Yeo for Panthers. David Nofaluma, parallel for Tigers. Jennifer Jane. Team High Performance for the Knights. Davida Totola, parallel for the Rabbits. Tommy Talau, Power Heroes for Tigers. Junior Paulo, parallel for Eels. Foil Sig. Jack Bird for the Dragons. Number 8. Ooh. I don't know what his jersey number is, but it's low enough. Could it be? If you're watching and you know, let me know. Jack Bird for the Dragons, number 8. And Richard Light, congratulations. And Jack Bird parallel for the Dragons. Check that one at the back. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for Panthers. Valentine Holmes, parallel for Cowboys. Season to remember, David Fafita for the Titans. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. We're about 3/4 of the way through box number 3. High Performance, Brendan Smith for the Storm. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Master Apprentice, Phoenix Crossland for the Knights. Tyson Gamble, parallel for Broncos. Greg Marciu, Rising Stars for Titans. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Titans parallel checklist. Are we getting through it? We're getting through it. Season to remember, Luke Brooks for the Tigers. Tefano Utikamanu, parallel for the Tigers. Mitchell Moses, parallel for Eels. Rising Stars, Trent LaRoe for Storm. Dragons, parallel checklist. Madison Apprentice and Molly Olaka'atu for Manly. Reece Robson, parallel for Cowboys. High Performance, Isaac Liu for Roosters. Jack Jawovic, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Luke Metcalf for the Sharks. Kalen Ponga, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the Warriors. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for Storm. And last batch for box number 3. Master and Apprentice Black, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. And Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. Alright. Sorry, where is it? Fix it up afterwards. Let's get it out of the way. Alright, last box number 4. Rising Stars, Wiramu Grigg for the Eels, Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Bulldogs. High Performance, Reid Marnie for the Eels, Jordan Rapana for Raiders, Rapana. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons, Isaiah Yeo, parallel for Panthers, Rising Stars, Valami Avile for the Warriors, Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits, Season to Remember, William Kennedy for the Sharks, Herbie Farmworth, parallel for Broncos, Katoni Staggs, no, sorry. Rising Stars, Ben Trbojevic for Manly, Jesse Ramian, parallel for Sharks. Massive break, guys. Black Authentics, number 42 out of 62, Mr. Richard Light with the Broncos, Tyson Gamble. Congratulations, number 42. Alex 12, parallel for Tigers. High Performance, Blake Brayley for the Sharks, Reid Marnie, parallel for the Eels, Jazz Tavega, parallel for Warriors, Team High Performance for the Sharks, Roosters parallel checklist, Master and Apprentice, William Kennedy for the Sharks, Ben Hunt parallel for the Dragons, Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for the Panthers, Mr. Hammer for the Cowboys, Master and Apprentice, Emery Gula for the Raiders, Brian Kelly, parallel for Titans, Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbitohs, Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Sam Williams for the Raiders. Joe Stimson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Master Apprentice Black, Jake Arthur for the Eels. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Adam Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Brad Parker, parallel for the Manly. Season to remember, Jesse Bromwich for Storm. Knights parallel checklist. Dylan Martin Zelezniak, Power Heroes for the Warriors. Sione Katoa, parallel for the Sharks. Bailey Biondi Otto, Rising Stars for Bulldogs. Brian Toto, parallel for Panthers. High Performance, Lachlan Croker for Manly. Thomas Flagler, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Dejan Assey for the Cowboys. Luciano Leilua, parallel for the Tigers. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Warriors parallel checklist. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, big hammer for the Cowboys. There's Zach Lomax, parallel for Dragons. Getting towards the end, what have we got? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Cowboys parallel checklist. High Performance, Mitch Rain for the Titans. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. James Tedesco, Power Heroes for the Roosters. Kent Bromwich, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. JJ. Rising Stars, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Kevin Proctor, parallel for the Titans. Season to remember, Xavier Coates for the Broncos. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Harley Smith Shields, Club Heroes for the Raiders. Luke Thompson, parallel for the Bulldogs. And last but not least, for break 158, after a big break it's been, Jerome Hughes, parallel for the Storm. So some nice cards in this break, guys. Congratulations to those of you that were lucky enough to score one of those big ones. And thank you to everyone for being a part of it.